it's hard for me to distinguish where it's coming from. So I'm right here, and I just, it's very distracting.
Mind if I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure. So Bobby, we have a question really quick.
Yeah. We can't see the screen very well. Could you tell us which tracks from top to bottom?
Oh,
what
which
are
tracks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What are
Oh yeah. Okay, go. Starting with the first one. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is wide left, and what Bobby does is he always
And
does
the two wide mics. Yeah.
yeah does
that
it
is.
conductor's perspective across
Yeah.
the room. So wide left, Decca left, Decca center, Decca right, wide right. Then we start with the violin spot mic, the viola spot mic, the cello spot mic. We had stereo mics on bass, stereo mics on harp, stereo mics on piano, a stereo mic on the French horn in the center of the room, and then a spot mic on the clarinet and flute.
So the bass, yeah, that's good. So just so you know, the basis of this mix being an orchestral acoustic recording is based off the Decca tree, the three mics over the conductor, and the two wide mics, the outriggers. Then everything else is brought in as needed, the spot mics, just to give you a little more presence. So the combination of the spot mics and the room mics sort of give you the size, the location, and depth and height of the mix. So what else can I explain to you? Let's see. One thing about the Decca tree and the outrigger mics, you have your spot mics, and you need to be mindful of where you pan them, because the Decca tree and the outrigger mics know they pick up the image where it happens to be. If the Decca tree center mics, there's a violin there, and you put the violin over there, you're still going to hear it in the Decca tree, which you're just moving over here. That's okay if you're always going to stay in the stereo realm. You're never going to get out of that. But what may happen is if you fold it down to mono, you may have a phase problem, which means when you have a phase problem, the first thing that goes away is the bottom end, and it tends to sound thin, and that would affect the entire mix. Yeah, so you have to be very mindful of that. So I tell people, if you're going to mix in stereo and it's only going to stay in stereo, that's fine. But be mindful and monitor in mono every now and then, and just to be sure that your balances are right, your phase is right. Other than that, you can get into a serious problem. I've had people come up to me and say, "Yeah, I've been mixing this, and I need to deliver it as a mono track, but I play it in mono and it doesn't sound right." And that's because they weren't paying attention. And it's silly. It sounds silly, but if you go to mono and you pan around, it sounds silly to be panning in mono because you're in mono. You can hear the difference. You can hear what's going on. Listen to when things start opening up. And when you're mixing, remember you have this huge pan field in front of you. And there's a lot of space in there. So what you want to do is you don't want to just make it a left and a right. Because that you get because basically when you get everything left and right, what you create is two monos. So you need to pan everything out. And what happens is with this. Should I start over?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got you.
So, where was I? So when you're, where did I leave off at now? This distracted me. Oh, the panning field. Yeah, when you're in the panning field, you have all this space, and you need to access it. Obviously, with an orchestral recording and the Decca tree, the image is already set up, but you can reinforce it with your spot mics, maybe putting in, raising it up, but keep the spot mic where it needs to, where it was originally. And you can fudge a little bit. Say if you have a solo, which I may do, is that if a violin solo is a little too far over to the side, which it would normally be in an orchestral environment, you can bring it over a little bit, and it's not going to hurt it. Same with any solo, you can bring it into the center, and then when the solo's over, you can put it back, but do it very slowly so you don't hear the shift in the orchestra, because that microphone is picking up everybody else. So you need to shift it across slowly. And another thing is, when you're mixing, whether it be stereo, surround, you need to keep in mind that the way to create space and depth is by using your reverbs. So anything with less reverb is going to be closer to you. Anything with more reverb is going to be farther away from you. So by adjusting your reverb levels, you can create a space in the mix, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to work for Phil Spector, but the big wall of sound, that works great. But in an orchestral environment, you do want to have some space in the mix. Even if it's a 100-piece orchestra, you still need to have, I feel I can get up and walk into. And that's always been a criteria for me, is that I always approach the mix. That's how I've always listened, and how I was trained to do it, is you always have to have that sense of space. Even in my rhythm mixes, the rhythm sections I do, I want to make you feel that you can get up, you can walk over to the drums and stuff. Patrick played something for me that he did was it a week or so. Yeah. And I thought it was brilliant because it had what I like. It had space, and it was live, and it gave you that sense of of being there. You could get up, you could walk up to the guitar player, you could walk to the bass player. It just had that sense, something I really like in a mix. Yeah. And I don't hear often enough, because some guys get like everything has to be in your face. And granted, that works for a lot of stuff, and I'm guilty of it myself, because that's what the music called for. And other times, this music doesn't call for that. You'll hear space and reverbs and stuff. Yeah, but other than that, yeah. Do you have any questions for me? No. Well, let's get started. All right.
So what you guys just heard, so that everybody's clear, is the mix that we did yesterday that he did live.
That was yesterday's recording. Yeah.
That doesn't have any reverb, any compression.
It does have reverb.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have any compression.
No. No. Yes.
Quick question, Bobby.
What?
Could you just explain briefly compression, what it does, and why it's used, very quickly?
What's that? Compression?
Compression, yeah.
Compression, what it does is compression keeps your peaks down. If you have things that are popping out, certain levels might. Well, what it does, it levels out your signal, so you don't have these things popping out, and the mix sounds more contained. You want to be careful of over compressing, because then your mix will sound very flat. For me, when I use compression, I don't normally use more than 3 dB, 2 to 3 dB of compression, and that's plenty. You can always lower the instrument, but 2 or 3 dB of compression is just fine for that. You don't want it to sound like it's being pumped up and down. Now, a limiter works a different way. If you take a compressor and you set it up anything higher than 10:1 ratio, that's going to become a limiter, which means your level can only go up so high, and it'll never go any higher. So, and that's, I use that when I'm mixing like really loud, heavy scores that are going against big sound effects. I'll use a limiter on that, so I can take the mix up really loud, and not go over, and I give myself maybe 1/10 of a dB, or sometimes even 1 dB headroom. So everything's up there. And a good example, I was working with Brian Tyler on a score, several scores, and he delivers his synth stuff to me, and it's loud. I mean, his stuff is really loud, and he doesn't want you to touch it or lower it. So what I do is, when I've mixed it, I use the limiter to get my orchestra up at the same level, and it didn't sound compressed. It didn't sound squashed or anything. It just sounded loud, and that's the key to using a limiter. A compressor will tend to make your mix flat. It'll hold the peaks down. It'll work. I use a limiter compressor on bass, kick drum, and guitars, stuff like that, because I want to just keep the peaks down. Now, on my final mix bus, I'll use a limiter because I want to get that up loud. If it's a softer cue, I'm not going to do that. But because of the nature of some of the big scores I work on, I need to compete with whatever they deliver synth-wise. And nowadays, everybody delivers their synth, full level. Mm-hmm. Nobody delivers anything halfway. It's always full level.
And Bobby, sorry for interrupting. You've got a favorite multiband limiter, right? It's the Mac
What's
DSP.
that?
You've got a favorite multiband limiter, right? It's the Mac DSP.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of my favorites. I use the ML 400 and 800, the multiband compressors, because you can actually compress just certain frequencies. If you're looking at your overall graph of what the orchestra, what the frequencies in the orchestra are doing. If you see something that's popping up, you can compress that a little bit and hold it back. So it evens out the sound, so you don't have these things popping out. It's more pleasing to the ear than to be there and just all of a sudden just things drawing, just popping out. Yeah. That okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good work. Let's hear it from the top. I want to check those reverb levels now, see if they're what I think.
Some company. He feels alone.
I'm not hearing it.
It's gonna pop.
I'm sorry, this is what is that? What am I hearing now? What we got going here? Oh, that? Oh, get rid of that. Okay. No, that's okay. Here it is. There's what I want. That's what I want. Okay, something's in pre. Shouldn't be coming through. Piano. Right there. Something else. Maybe it's not something to get rid of. Up to 4? Yeah. It's not, oh, reverbs are in pre as well. And that should not be there. Just recycle it till we find a problem. Okay. Right here. Oh, is it running?
Yep, it's running.
Right here.
Okay, so it's on.
This reverb here.
So it's 5 and 6.
Have anything come? Oh. That sounds like a prelay track.
Muy bien. No, eso es no. Toma esto en Slack. Toma Slack.
It's coming from these.
Vale, clícalo.
Coming from both sides.
Baja la voz.
take all the 5s out for now. It's on 5?
Yeah.
It's coming on, it's showing up here.
That's just the thing.
Well, we're trying to figure out what the problem is. Well, let's play a little more about a compressor. A compressor has an attack and release time. So you can get a slow attack or a fast attack. A lot of time if you're working with like a bass player and you have a snap bass, you want a slow attack time, because if you have a fast attack and a fast release, and that'll compensate for that. Yeah. But that's just one of the things with a compressor. On a vocal, depends on the singer, you know. You might want to use just a slow attack, slow release on the vocal. But that's one of those things that you won't know until you actually sit down with the vocalist and you start playing with that. You never want to clamp it down too much, because it tends to make the vocal sound like that. You know, and you can hear if once you hear that sound and your ears will know immediately. If you hear a record or something and you hear it sound like that, it's because they just over compressed it. The whole track has been compressed. So there's no room for any breathing at all. It's just kind of this mono track, or not mono track, a compressed, solid, lack of any energy in it. I mean, there's energy, but it's not the kind that's open. It's just this big blob coming at you. I mean, it sounds good. Obviously, they released it, but those are things we need to be aware of when you're compressing stuff. Again, but the limiter will allow you to make things louder and limit your and the word limit. I mean, you can only go so hard. When you set it, it'll only go as far as you set it. Like I say, I have like 1 dB of headroom or a dB of headroom. It won't go any louder than that. Yeah.
So would you ever use compression to color something? Like
What's that?
Would you ever use compression to color something based on the type of compressor?
Oh yeah,
it is?
yeah, absolutely, of course,
So
yeah.
What do you find in the orchestra?
I don't use it. I don't use it. I mean, I use it on the final mix maybe, but that's mainly a limiter. But I don't really go into the orchestra and start compressing things, because it sort of defeats the purpose of orchestra. An orchestra, yeah, it just sort of, confines it a bit.
Right.
No, I like it much open. I mean, if I have to do anything, I would probably maybe adjust the EQ, but that's about it. Yeah. No, I like the orchestras to be kind of full, open, and airy. You know.
Right.
So what's the difference when
What?
do the mock-up? When we do the mock-up, we sometimes apply a little bit of compression.
Yeah.
Right. But you actually, so you say you don't need it when you're recording real musicians because you don't want to take anything away.
I don't. But some people are addicted to compression. They compress on everything. You know, they think that's the answer, rather than learning how to do things the right way. I'll just put a Band-Aid on it and I'll compress it. No, just adjust your levels and adjust the mic position and work with the musician. Maybe at this part you could bring it back a little bit, that kind of stuff. I know as composers, you guys have, when you're writing a piece of music, and I've talked to this about other composers, but you write a piece of music and you write a solo, you write something, and when you write that piece, you have an intent in your head as to what it's going to sound like. Now, when you get on the stage and someone says, the mixer says, hey, you know what, I can't hear that, let's have them play a little louder. You don't want that, because that is not the intent that you wrote. What you need to do is have everybody come down around them and then make space. The good example is I was working with Jerry Goldsmith years ago. We were working on this one piece and we rehearsed it about 5 times. And finally, Jerry said, just a minute, everybody, there's a flute solo at bar 17, and he rehearsed without headphones. So he wanted to hear what the orchestra sounded like, yeah. And he relied on us. He did the Decca tree and the room mics. He said, you know, that solo at bar 17, I haven't heard yet. So, and if you haven't heard it, that means you're all playing too loud. Next rehearsal, there's the flute solo. Everybody just settled down. It didn't change the sound of the music. It just made the flute solo stand out. Unless you intend that, unless you want that instrument to sound like it's overblown or whatever. But yeah, it's always best to just adjust the orchestra levels and have the flute or whatever that solo happens to be, you know, just everybody just back off a little bit and so allow those instruments to come out.
Did you ever work with Hummy Man?
What's that?
Did you ever work with Hummy Man?
Oh yeah, he's up in Seattle now. Oh yeah, I haven't seen him since, yeah, it's been several years. I haven't been up to Seattle. There was a period of time when I left Warner Brothers, I hate to admit it, but I was in Seattle quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah, there's a nice church up there, Bastyr, which is beautiful. It's I don't know if you've ever seen the place, but it's an enormous, I mean, it's a huge altar where you can fit 100 people up there. And they've done that, you know, just a huge 100-piece orchestra up there. And it's an amazing church. It sounds fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, but Hummy, I worked at Hummy down here as well as up there. Yes.
About the stereo mics in the double bases.
What's that?
Stereo mics in the double bases.
Stereo mic on a double bass. Why do I have them on there?
Why?
Why? Because
I get for the art and the
oh,
piano
because they're two different mics. Yeah. One mic is a large capsule cardioid, and the other one is a small diaphragm. So yeah, and I put one up on, would be high and one down low. Yeah. I just like the sound that I get from that. Yeah. When I'm working with like just like a straight orchestral bit, and I have like 8 basses, I'll put a mic on every 2 basses, not double mic, just a single mic on every 2 basses, and sometimes even just 2 mics up high over the basses, depending upon what the composer and I have talked about the sound we're going for. Yeah. Okay, who's got?
When would you use a tape mic, like an AKG 414?
When would I use a what mic? A
Tape, you know, the tape mic, old tape.
ribbon microphone.
Ribbon,
Ribbon microphone I use on brass quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great sounding mic. I've actually recorded vocals with a ribbon mic as well. Ribbon mics with a tube compressor, the great combination. Yeah. Your question.
Yes, this is more a philosophical one, but when you first push that play, like we just did now,
Yeah.
what's going through your head? What are you listening for? How are you listening to it?
When I'm listening to the whole, I don't want it, when I listen to it the first time, I don't want to focus just on one thing. I want to listen to everything. You know, you listen to it as a whole piece, and if things are going to stick out, you'll go, okay, that needs to be fixed, or maybe that's a little too bright, but you go through the whole piece, and then you put it under the microscope and you say, okay, I can do this, and you know that, yeah.
And do you then ever?
What?
So I've heard different approaches on this with different genres of music. How
Yeah.
often do you solo tracks while you're mixing?
Quite often. I mean, it depends.
Because
Well,
I've
I
heard
shouldn't say
some
that.
say-
No, let me revise. It depends on if I think there might be something wrong with the track. If I'm looking at the meters and I see that the level's low, I'll solo that up to make sure that the mic isn't going out, or maybe the guy isn't playing.
But I mean, sort of for the mixing aspect.
A mixing aspect.
Like
Oh
if
yeah,
you're
I'll do.
touching
Yeah.
EQ, or if you're touching automation or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll solo it, or
I do. Yeah, I do. But I've gone through this already. But I'll solo up so you guys can hear what it is. Yeah. I have a good example. This goes back. Well, he's still working on this.
Well,
Not working.
Yeah, so I'm kind of running into a hard stop because I've dug around on the different sends, and it seems like something in here is wired wrong, which I know are
Can we just move that stuff somewhere else then?
onto a different kind of send. I've been checking these sends, and it seems like they're wired in pre.
Sends are. Oh,
Yeah, so I'm toggling those.
wow. Okay.
So it's turning into a tech solve rather
Okay.
than a.
So like 5 is in pre. All of 5s.
And then I checked 3 and 4 while you were
Yeah.
working, just to see if I could
Yeah.
get something to respond.
Are they
normally.
wired in pre as well?
I can't get anything to respond post. And
Wow.
I don't know what happened with that, because these were supposed to be wired 1 and 2 in pre, 3, 4, 5, 6 in post.
Wow. Didn't hear that yesterday though.
Nor did I.
Oh.
and nothing has changed.
Because
Call the musicians.
when I pull a fader down, when I pulled this down yesterday, it was absolutely clean. I didn't hear them talking, which would have been pre.
Right.
I didn't hear that. So we've got something that's different today than was yesterday.
Okay.
This is an exact no. Was it the template maybe? Are we good there?
Yeah, unless there's some kind of routing that I'm not.
You know what? Let's play the template. Go to the mix side, the mix window, and then you can do it here. Just I want you to just mute stuff
Yep,
as we
okay,
go
no
along.
problem. Let's see, we're here. And right.
Oh, this has to come up. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut this.
Okay.
Okay. Now start cutting stuff.
It seems like it's not
Then touch it. I think it.
changing yet.
That sounds like the mix or a prelay track, 'cause that's everything.
Right.
Get rid of that last one down at the bottom there.
This guy.
That's it.
Yeah, let me open this one.
There's
back
still
up.
something there too.
Yeah, it's this. But where's this even coming back? Oh. Why is it there? No, it should be. Let me knock these down. Okay. So now I
Still there. No. Still something there.
know. So I'm getting it on with this out.
That one.
Clarinet. I think I'm getting it on these two.
Sounds more like clarinet than anything
Yeah.
else, yeah. What is that pre right there for? That did it. Take the 5 out. No, crap. 7's wired as well?
That was stuck.
Okay, good. So we're good.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, good.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay. Shall we
Okay.
give this a go?
I got one story before we're setting up again.
Can you
A
explain?
while back, I went in. This producer, I don't know if anybody knows, a filmmaker back in the 50s, Ed Wood, who was this guy that was, Ed Wood was one of these guys that had big ideas and never had any money. So there's a modern day Ed Wood that I worked with a while back. And we worked on a Stan Lee documentary with great power. So set it up. The original plan was for me to mix it at Warner Brothers with a big orchestra there. And Warner Brothers, if you don't know, Warner Brothers used to be my home studio. So I had left Warner Brothers and I got a call from the producer and the composer that they want to do this there, but they want me to do it because they want a Hollywood film score engineer and they want, big studio musicians. And so they contacted Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers said, sure. And then Warner Brothers found out, wait, this is not a union gig, so we're not doing it. But now they'll do non-union gigs. So I said, okay, so fine. But what he did was, which I thought was funny, he put an ad out in the recycler. He said, if you have an instrument and would like to play on a Stan Lee documentary, show up here on such and such a date. It's going to be recorded by film score engineer Bobby Fernandez and Hollywood Studio Orchestra. Okay, so that was kind. Oh, and you get a sandwich and a copy of the CD. That was it. Yeah. So once Warner found out, said, no, we're not doing that. So then Capitol Studios, there's Studio A, there's a wall that opens up, and that's Studio B. So same thing, recycler. Anybody wants to be on this? If you have an instrument, there was never any mention of can you play the instrument. If you have an instrument, be here at Capitol. So I got to Capitol. Well, we started setting up the night before. So we stopped at 98 because we only had 98 chairs, and 98 music stands. That's all we had, and we had a few extra headphones, but that was it. So I get the next morning. I come in after we set everything up. I come in and there's a line around the block. People come in. We had 130 people show up to play, and one kid flew in on his own dime from Boston with a cello. He was going to play. So we had more oboe players than more. Anyway, we had 130 people. So then we had, as we're setting up and people are coming in and I'm saying, okay, oboe's here, and the composer's walking around and he said, by the way, we have several oboe players. We're going to have to rotate. So I'm not rotating. I drove all the way down from San Jose and I'm not rotating. But you have to. No, I'm not. But you have to. Everybody has to have a turn. There's so many of us. Well, if that's the case, I'm going home, back to Provo and left. And so, well, okay, we have a lot more. That's fine. So as the day progresses, I notice that, in these Marvel movies, you have these big fast action cues. Well, the way the orchestra is set up is I'm sitting in the control room, and normally the conductor would be on that side, looking a smaller group. So the conductor was on the left side wall, looking across into Studio B. And in this Studio A, we had all the strings and the woodwinds behind them, and a little set of gobos, 4-foot gobos on that side. On the Studio B, we had the brass, percussion, and keyboards. So it was working out well, really well. But those big action Marvel cues, I'm sitting there and looking, and we're going through, and the cue sounds kind of okay, but where I'm sitting, as the way the room is set up, I've got I'm looking at the back of the cello and the basses here. You can't see the violas and string violins, but I'm noticing as we're playing that some of the bass players and cello players are just kind of pantomime. Their bow is not on the strings. They're just kind of going over the motions like that, and everybody else is doing all the heavy lifting. And I'm looking at I said, probably.
You just wanted a sandwich?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just wanted a sandwich. So I had more edits in that entire show that I've done in like 10 movies. So the next one is the composer is standing out. There's two composers. One guy's conducting, and one guy's standing behind him, and he's standing there listening. And we come to this beautiful cue with a cello solo in it. And now the cello solo is always played by the first cello sitting up front. So he's sitting there, cello solo starts, and he's looking around, he looks at the first cello. Nobody's playing. He's still here, still going. He said, wait. Who's playing the cello solo? And a hand comes up way in the back. I am. This woman says, I'm playing it. You're supposed to be sitting up here in front, first cello. I don't want to sit there. No, you have to sit here. You have to sit here. I don't want to sit there. Well, they're not going to play the solo. Well, I want to play the solo. Then you have to sit here. It was fun. Anyway, she gets up, comes in, begrudgingly plays a solo. As soon as the cue's over, she goes back to her spot. But it was kind of one of those crazy things. The craziest thing was watching people pretend that they're playing. Cello players are going like crazy, but their bow isn't on the strings and their fingers are not on the. They're just kind of faking it. The bass players, 8 bass players, and I think half of them were playing. The other were just kind of like, God, this music's difficult. I can't play this, but I'll fake it. So, anyway. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got. Okay.
Bobby, do you want me to track these or no?
What's that?
You want me to record this or no?
No, not yet. So 5 is good then, right? We can use 5. Okay. Let me look at the harp for a minute.
Yeah.
Just in the EQ mode. I was gonna see if there's something that.
No, I'm not seeing any reverbs returning at all.
Mm-hmm. Gonna check on this and. We got a. Oh.
Am I allowed to say something to the group?
Just give us 1 second.
That's okay. It caught my ear for some reason. Okay. Note in there?
Yep, 29.
Yeah.
And it's just in the harp, so I think we could probably.
Do we have another take?
Yep, you want me to comp
Yeah.
just the harp?
Yeah. Any comments yet?
I was worried about that harp part. I'm glad you're able to punch something into that.
Oh, you know, we'll take care of that.
I was just wondering, what are you doing now?
There you go.
I mean, you're I see you doing things, but what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just trying to look busy. Yeah. No, I'm actually going through and maybe just finessing some of the stuff that I went through yesterday. Yeah, I was happy with yesterday's mix, but I thought maybe I could do this a little differently or that. But yeah, I mean, it's a cue that pretty much mixes itself. I mean, it's just you got that beautiful harp solo throughout. But, yeah.
So if you don't have an alternate take and you have to correct the audio, how would you do that? Or if somebody dropped their bow, but the instrument they're
We'd have to try and edit that out. Yeah. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do because if it compromises the cue or the timing. You need to, we can just dip it a bit, in that track, depending upon how much of it's in the room. But she's in an ISO booth,
right?
So you can just pull
the note out, or would you pitch correct it? That note?
What's that?
Would you pitch correct it with an
You could, yeah.
She plays on that downbeat.
Yeah.
Is this the second take?
I'm patching in the second
because
take.
The whole second take of the harp is better than the first one.
Well,
from this
we
point
don't want to do the whole thing.
We just want that little section. Yeah, that's all you want. Because it goes by so fast. If it goes by fast. If it's in tune, that's a right note. It's fine. Yeah. It just seems that when it's a wrong note, it seems like it goes by slow. Yeah. That's good. I don't think it's something else in there too. Something else is.
Yeah, in the piano, two measures.
How about let's listen to that bass for a second too, because that.
Okay, piano's fine.
No,
Yeah, the piano's okay.
No, there's
listen to the bass.
Okay. Should we check cello?
I don't know. There's just a rub in there. Yeah. We solo up the harp and the bass together.
That's a sharp.
Right.
Harp is slightly sharp.
Play that again. So the 29 still sounds. 29 still sounds off.
I think that the middle note in the harp chord is out.
Sounds like the stand-up bass was just a little flat, like he didn't quite nail it.
Well, yeah, and some of these are nuances that are part of the performance, but
Right.
why don't we hear it with some more context, Bobby? Can I give
Yeah,
it to you
play
from-
everybody. Let's and I'll breeze back.
I'm going to give it to you from 24.
Okay. Goes by, yeah.
I can grab. Do you want to hear what the previous take in this phrase sounds
Yeah,
like?
I just, yeah,
Across?
yeah.
Which
I think
take
if I
is this
dip the
one?
harp down at that
This
point,
is
we'll be
three.
fine.
These three. Jaco, which was the one? Which one was the best one?
Two.
Two.
But it was because of the atmosphere. I didn't hear the different instruments, of course, but
Who
quite
was here?
atmosphere.
Who was here? I was. That was me.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we try the second one?
Yeah, just a sec. I'm just going to turn off some of these groups. And this will be what we
Yep.
use. And then I'm just going to add this mix bus in here. Okay. And let's just take a listen to.
You know what? When you hear the original, yesterday's mix at that section,
Uh-huh.
and that's on the mock-up.
Sure. Yep.
You can solo that up and hear that.
Okay. Oops, sorry. Gotcha. And we're going.
Yeah.
26.
All right, still there. Yeah.
Yep. All right,
Yeah,
so
okay.
let's
Back.
just two.
Yeah.
Same spot.
What are you playing?
This is the mock-up.
Oh, okay.
Was that the French horn? It was off?
I need to hear the track.
Is it French horn? It was off?
I'm doing stuff here, and I thought you were.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Got it. It's on the right side.
Yeah.
I just have a little bit of grit somewhere.
So to answer your question, what he was doing earlier is just automating volume basically.
So
He's
Bobby,
listening
are
to
you
the music,
borrowing from the mock-up to
looking at the
replace
score.
it?
It's like,
I beg your
okay,
pardon?
I'm gonna bring down the
Interrupt
RPM.
you, but
You know,
you're
he
borrowing
touches
from
the
the
fader
mock-up
and
to
that gets
just put it
recorded
there for
as
that
automation.
Okay.
And
No.
listen, you know,
No.
so just okay, I'm gonna adjust this here. So basically automating volume.
Okay.
He was doing.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm listening to this now, right? Is Flying Faders actually running?
Faders down
It
there.
is, yeah. Is it not working?
So cool to see this.
I'll find out right now. That should come down. Okay, I'll go without it. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
I don't like these. Experiments with wintergreen. I love them.
So I've got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Let me look at the mix window for a minute.
Okay, of course.
I want to look at this here.
So that's one cool thing about
Yeah.
Pro Tools. If you put it in Punch, and when you press play, if you liked what you just did, you can just cycle back and grab the entire recording. So like before you press spacebar at the end, you hit 3.
Yes.
Record a little bit and then go all the way back. So we have that mix.
Yes. Wow.
This is nice.
It's really cool.
And we're printing it without the prelays, just so you have it as is, and then you can weave the prelays into it if you want. But having this by itself
Yes.
will be handy.
Really. And you're going to mix it with the template, with the mock-up?
With the mock-up we can, but the reason that we're not is because that way you have more control when you're at home, and you can weave in more textures if you want against the mix that we had in the room.
Yeah. Really, I would like to have it with a total, with a mock-up.
Okay. So I'll relay that.
And can I get a multi-track of this?
Oh yeah, you'll get this session.
Yes. Really. I wrote this for the casualties of the Second World War. This music.
Okay. Question for you now.
Yeah.
Oh, we're an input, that's all right. See, yesterday's mix is hotter than today's mix. And I've got this guy in, so I put that in.
Okay.
I get rid of that.
Oh, it's because we've got this down.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that. got to adjust this
The
now.
other reason that it's hotter is
Now I've got to bring this back.
Can you just take over for me for 2 minutes? I have to go to the toilet.
Look at that bypass. Yeah, different than yesterday. I don't like that. Okay.
Okay.
Go again. Let me check those levels again. Yeah, I didn't like that with this thing pulled down. Sounds much more open now with that.
Yeah.
You recording?
Huh?
Go back and start recording.
Okay. You want it from the top?
From the top, recording. Yeah.
Okay, let me just play this first. Okay, here it comes.
This is gonna be your final mix. Is that his limiter?
I think so, yes.
That's nice.
Comments, questions, suggestions?
Yeah.
It's his mix. What? It's his mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you played the whole piece and you mixed it while you played it, so you did all the automation and now it's all in this print. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
No, that screen, you're not seeing anything move up there.
So he's doing everything by hand on the board.
Yeah.
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 What's the name of the limiter?
Oh,
What's that?
which limiter is this?
That's a limiter.
Yeah, what's the name of
That's a limiter. Yes.
It's the
the name?
it's the one in Pro Tools. Doesn't really have
Oh, it's the Pro Tools limiter?
Yes.
I mean, I kind of figured you would use
You know,
Wayne's
but
diamond
I have
or
to. I'll preface this by saying I'm not a plug-in snob. If something works for me, I'll use it. I don't care if it's it's only Avid. It works, and I'll use something until it doesn't work for me anymore. If I find something else that's better, I'll do that. I normally work with. I have the DSP stuff, the ML4000 or the 8000. I use those. Don't have it here, so I went with that one. Yeah, and it works. And just because it's Avid doesn't make it bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So you choose one sensor element, and you will mix everything around it. You said that
What's that?
You had the harp element, and you will mix everything around that one. So
Yeah.
do you choose always one sensor element from?
Well, the harp is featured in this cue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you make sure that the whole pocket. It's like when you're mixing any type solo, whether it's a vocal or guitar, whatever it is, you have to keep that as the main focus. Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Okay. We're never going to finish your cue. What's that?
So you're moving faders.
Yes.
And the Pro Tools is recording the audio result of those moves.
Yes, exactly.
What are your moves also getting recorded in Pro Tools to recreate that mix again, or no?
No.
And why is that?
Because I'm not in Pro Tools. That's why.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. If I was mixing in Pro Tools, then you would see those faders up there moving, and yeah. We're not. We're on the big console.
So nothing's automated. It's all you.
Yeah. For now it is. Yeah. So
This
yes,
was-
now
this
it's
was-
up to you.
Thank you, thank you. This was the recording of yesterday.
Yes.
We had the sound of a mock-up. If you mix it into my mock-up, is that possible?
Of course. Yeah.
Just to
You want to hear them together?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. Let's do that.
We'll do
All right,
that
so
like this.
I'll say that one's on 3. It's really good though. I will say this, guys.
You want to bring them up both here?
No,
Or
it's
you-
gonna, it's
oh,
gonna
yeah.
be on these guys.
What side do you want to bring it up on the mock-up side?
Oh, it's actually gonna be those prelay tracks. is what
Which
it's-
ones?
I
Let
don't
me
know.
show you right.
Okay.
One second. We've got. Can I close?
You can get
this?
rid of that.
Okay.
I don't
I've got
ask. I can't know
perk,
answer.
strings, woodwinds, and brass.
So you would know when you got home.
These guys.
Oh, I thought he wanted his mock-up. He wanted his mock-up. There is no mock-up?
There is a mock-up, but he wants this.
So I
That,
expect.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Fine.
But you didn't bring.
I thought he said mock-up. So.
Yeah, he did, but I think he.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
That's
I
fine.
have my tracks.
Yeah. Wait.
sent
Not
to
yet.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, he has the mock-up. Like,
Right. No, I know. But they weren't playing to your music.
That's what I just did, right?
It is, but then we've got these added.
I know. Yeah. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna run it. Guys, can we have quiet in the room?
Let's just roll. That's your mock-up with the mix.
Yes.
There's
You
a
like that?
page turning noise in bar 29.
Or a
that I
fader
heard.
rattle.
So, what's your verdict?
Sorry.
You-
What is going to be next?
Right, there's a lot of talking, but yes.
Do we get the audio files? Can I get those?
Of course you
What
can.
we recorded
They're,
here?
they're yelling standing
QR code. and-
Good sandwiches here, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
No, I like to see what you're doing. It's really great to watch it.
So are you happy with the mix, or not?
I think the harp is too loud.
Too loud.
Too loud in the whole thing.
Perfect. That's what I want. I like to get feedback.
Okay.
Keep the prelay out, and we're just going to be. So let's go from the top again.
Sure.
Afraid I can remember what I did.
The
Play
brass
in here.
cover.
Let me get these scores. You know.
So that's, I mean, when you just, they did, and your brass, that's a whole nother emotional.
But I don't know. I didn't know that we had to give comments. I just thought we are going to listen.
Well,
to
this
the
way
comments.
is asking, are you happy with it? And it's like,
All right. Let's. If you're ready,
he wants
let's
to
record that from the top.
what you're not happy with.
Yes.
How's the harp now?
Sorry.
Were you listening?
Yeah, I was listening. Yes, of course. Yes, I was listening.
I'm not sitting here being on camera. What? No. What do you think?
To know how do I have to mix this in my mock-up setting. I mean, I have all the different instruments now.
Yeah.
And if I want to mix that into my mock-up, what I have at home, what should I do? How much
What other instruments do you have to put in?
Brass. I have low brass.
Okay.
And percussion, timpani as well, and some woodwinds.
Well, just take this mix, and I'll add your prelate to this if you want now, because that wasn't from your brass and your percussion in there to where it sounds right with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say is listen to the reverb I have on the track, and try to match it, because if you don't, it's going to sound like two different environments. So you need to match that. That's the thing. In case you guys, I'm sure you guys all have sample library, and oftentimes I'll get stuff coming in from sample libraries. Reverb you have fit in with what I have, because you want to make them match, and you always want to make them sound like they were recorded and mixed at the same time and they were in the same environment. So just be very cautious of that.
Yes.
And you should be fine. But bring the brass up to where it sounds right to you in the mix. I mean, you'll know it's right. It's your music. You'll know where you want it to sit.
Yes.
Same with the percussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you using the plates back there? The reverb.
No, we're not using the plates. But
No, no.
Okay.
they
We're
sound
using
great,
lexicons.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
Hardware lexicon.
Oh yeah, sitting right over there.
yeah, we had to take
Yeah.
it down because of the camera crew, but we've got a
Yeah.
Lexicon 960.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what you'll do. You'll take this mix, and right now I'll play it back again, and I'll add your prelay to it. So you get the blend of both mixes, and then when you take it back to your place, you're going to add your brass to it. And again, it's like cooking.
Yes.
Season the taste. You like it
Yeah.
a certain way, right?
Yes.
You know, he might hear it differently. You might hear it differently, but
Yes.
it's your
Yes,
mix.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I thought we were just going to watch you mixing it and we.
Mixing it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
But
gonna get
No,
all
like
the
I said before,
yes.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that I think one of the things that everybody didn't know is they're going to get these Pro Tools sessions.
Oh, yes.
They're going to get access to everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
You'll
You
have
can
these mixes, you'll
go
have-
hong and mix to your heart's desire.
Yes.
and
Yes.
this
Yeah.
guy-
You'll get my
okay,
mix,
yes,
and then
that's-
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
Yes.
you'll get that mix, and then you can remix it and
Yes.
you know,
Okay.
or you mix it and blend them, whatever you want to do. You'll have that
Yes.
lever. You can do that.
But I don't want to take too much time. There's two others who wants to be mixed now. I don't know what time we.
I don't know.
Brass in it.
Do you have your brass is in here, right?
Yeah, we've got it.
Let's put that in there. Yeah.
Let me just
Let's make sure we get it.
just check it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got
Yes.
brass.
Yes.
It's only one track though.
Yeah.
It's only one coming up on one track.
I sent.
There you go. But it's okay.
Yeah, I have it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit too loud, I think.
All right. So
All right, guys, we're going to do it.
let's go. So am I hearing my mix? Did I bring this one up?
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to print against the previous mix?
Yeah.
Yep, no problem.
We're going to print. We're going to take. Well, the previous mix we have.
Yep, got it.
I want to blend them together.
Blend that with this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just going to spit this out.
Didn't we have it coming back on playback and then we just add? It doesn't matter. Okay.
Right. Just a second.
What did we just do a minute ago? We had this. I was blending this into what we had.
Right.
Just automation is all we
No, that's not going.
Sorry.
All of that.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, so the only thing
Took us an hour to get that sound, guys.
Yeah, you like
all the effects of the piece already set up.
Yeah, of course. I didn't know that we had to more the.
But you'd have to.
And we want to get that out of this. And I don't. So it's now it's you have it in miscellaneous, right?
Yep.
Okay, so great.
Yes, but I can't. This was much better. Now you can feel the.
He just
Yeah.
needed that
the-
context.
Yeah.
You know, of
Yes,
what
that's
against
what
what
I-
he did.
And it has to be.
Good with that?
Yes.
All right.
Cool. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Great.
Good job, Barry.
Nice cue.
I'm asking my conductor and Amelia to sit with me. So.
Somebody's phone.
Patrick, thank you. It's great.
Thank you, man.
Phone?
I got a score for that?
Yep.
Where?
Right here in your hand.
I don't know, one of these little baby scores I can't even read. Oh, I can see. I'm just kidding. Yeah, yeah.
I think we got another one.
No, this is. Hey, I got to tell you, some of the scores that I looked at yesterday were was bar 10, bar 20, bar 30, bar 40. It helps if you have an engineer sitting here with bar numbers on it. So in an instant, if I look at that screen up there and I see bar 10, I go, oh yeah, rather than kind of like, okay, having to guess or trying to read where we are. So this one has the, well, yeah, it does. This has bar numbers on it, yeah. But some were printed so small, even with my glasses, I had a hard time reading them. So, yeah. Okay, great.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Bobby, if I may say, another thing that Bobby told me is like, make sure to have everything detailed in the score, like solo here, or because when.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, some of the scores were brilliant because you wrote down like there's a violin solo coming in, a cello. It helps because if you're going through it really quickly, you go, oh yeah, there, and that's why I sit here with a highlighter and I mark all the entrances so I know, so I can be ready for it, so it just doesn't pop in, and it just makes it easier in the mix, so that you can kind of feather it up a little bit so the solo stands out a little more. So yeah, all those little things help, at least. I wonder if don't we have to do anything at the computer over there to get flying faders working? I thought we did. It's a busy queue.
Just a little.
Yeah. Playback side?
Yes, we're actually just going to be listening to the mock-up.
Okay. So, you want to just solo those up then?
Mock-up's horrible.
Okay, great.
I didn't mix the mock-up at all.
No, yesterday's recording.
that was yesterday's mix.
Okay.
Comments, things you want to change and remix, or
bar 19 we should way off. So maybe bring in another take.
way out? Oh, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
okay.
playing wise. Not,
Oh, yeah, playing
mix
wise.
wise.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Should we audition some other stuff?
Yeah. Why don't we just bar 19? Yeah. Whatever you have. Bar 19.
Wait, let me focus on this first, please.
This will be take 2. You want some context? Sorry.
Yeah.
Here's 18 for 19.
Oh, maybe it was bar 18 actually.
Okay, so we'll go 16 for 18. Is it the...
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit off, but
Okay.
maybe it, maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was just my ears.
I don't know. It felt pretty good to me, but it's your cue.
Let me check number 5.
First note is too long. They're
the
late.
first part of it sounds wrong.
Yeah,
Okay, so
they're very late.
it's 18.
Yeah.
So we want to replace with take 2.
Yeah.
So let me just grab this bar. I'll go from here to here.
Mhm.
And magic here.
No prelay on this, is there? No. Yeah.
Push it slightly. Okay, what else?
Starting, I think it's bar 28, when you've got the pits and the harp together. I really want the pits to be more prominent than harp. Actually, in general,
In a mix,
I want the harp
back.
back.
Okay.
Almost just a little color.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And especially on that part with the pizzicato,
Yeah.
I want it to be pizzicato colored by harp, not the other way around.
But I like it the other. I'm just kidding. No, okay.
I think it's 28, but I don't read scores.
Yeah.
Let me just check this one more time, Bobby. Sorry.
Yeah. Good.
So
Yes.
yesterday, you're talking about yesterday's mix. I just want to understand a little bit. You recorded all the different tracks. As that was happening, you were mixing to another track. Or are you mixing things as you're mixing? Is that actually affecting each individual track's volume?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm rebalancing it. Well, when I was mixing yesterday, all the microphones were coming up here, and I'm just rebalancing, like moving stuff up or down, and all this gets printed onto a stereo track in there. So that's it. You have individual tracks.
And those individual tracks are not affected by what you're doing?
No, those tracks are, no. We're on the playback side right now.
That's what I assumed, I just didn't want to make
Whatever, we're not affecting any of this stuff. This stuff is being remixed onto this track down here.
Even as it was happening.
And then being recorded, and then
all the way.
When you pasted in that other tape, you did it on all the tracks,
not together. So if you guys want to patch certain things, you're going to hear some spillover in those room mics, and in some instances in other mics. Now, something like a harp, which is not particularly loud on its own, is going to have a hard time carrying into one of those mics when everybody else is playing. But the piano, for instance, if you're going to replace piano, you're going to need to replace it all the way down.
unless that piano is in an ISO booth,
And the doors are closed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, and if I can, Bobby, just to touch on what it is that is the expectation in the scoring world when we do this kind of work. And Bobby is a really good example of how this work is done, right? To your question, what we do is we track every individual microphone, essentially, in the scoring world, because we usually work with very limited time turnarounds. In some instances, I've done work in here with Disney where the following day, all of the so the way that he's accustomed to working is in real time. He's trying to furnish a complete mix. With scoring is somebody who's capable of doing that.
Least favorite things to hear somebody say is, "We'll fix it in the mix." Hey, I don't care,
His skill level is when if you have a question about like a plug-in or what do you use here or how do you use it there, the way that he hangs microphones and the choices that he makes on the preamp and where he's placing the musicians in the room based on his knowledge of this room, all of that influences the EQ of how the instrument is being represented in the mix. The heights that he's hanging microphones, the microphones that he's choosing in the first place. And so you don't end up needing compression. You don't end up needing EQ because he's using the room combined with the way that the microphones are hung to give you this right off the bat.
Yeah, for me, if you watch how I mix, especially orchestral stuff, you notice that I don't use a lot of EQs. I don't go because I let I use my microphone choices dictate what I'm going to do. I know on certain instruments this microphone is better. So I do that. I let the microphones do the EQing for me. Now, if I get in a situation where maybe I need to EQ, then I'll grab an equalizer. But I don't just grab an equalizer for the sake of grabbing an equalizer. I've seen too many engineers come in and then they sit down and then immediately start to EQ stuff, and they're saying, "Wow, hey, why did you grab that EQ?" Well, the stuff sounded a little muddy. I'm trying to make it brighter. No, you just solved the problem right there. If it sounds muddy, take the bottom, EQ the bottom. You're making it brighter, but it's still muddy. You analyze what the problem is. Don't just, like I say, grab an EQ just for the sake of grabbing an EQ because you saw some other guy do it that probably didn't know what he was doing, and then you follow. It's like the monkey see, monkey do thing. Well, he did it, so I'm going to do it. Yeah, but it's wrong. And I always tell every young engineer I work with, it's still muddy. It's just muddy and bright. Just thin it out a little bit. Find out, again, I can't stress it, analyze what the problem is and then take care of it that way. You'll find that your tracks will sound so much better. They're not going to sound muddy and bright. They'll sound the way you want them to sound. They'll sound clean and natural. And that's what you want to do. So be very careful with that.
So when you're saying to clean out the mud, you're saying you said, you have to analyze the problem, which is mud.
Yeah.
And clean it out with volume?
No, with equalizer.
With
just find out.
Subtractive EQ.
Yeah, what I'll do is, a thing to do is if it's called frequency sweeping, is when you show the equalizer up there and if you can see the waveforms, well, what you do is you take an equalizer and you peak it, and then you move the frequency around. And when you find that annoying frequency, it's going to get really loud, and that you want it. Then you can zone in on that. And there's something called a Q in an equalizer. It's the length of the what do you call the bell. Yeah. So you can invert it. Now you're like this, and you found the frequency, and you're adding level to it. Invert it, and then you can narrow it down once you invert it, and then you can narrow it down and find that after you found it. Then you'll find that you've eliminated that. And by using a narrower bell, you haven't affected the frequency. It hurts the sound. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how you clean it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to have issues with clicks.
Bleeding through?
Well, musicians started bringing in their own headsets. They didn't want to use studio headsets. So they had these little open ear headsets. And you get 24 violin, roll of electrical tape. And I walked out to the violin section, give me your headphone. And it made them sound terrible, but it helped that. But there was a device, a Uri filter, notch filter, that I used to use. And I set it up so that I would always have it on the stage with me. It was part of my rack. Click. Okay. And so harp down.
Yeah, let me just check here.
Yeah, go ahead.
These prelays we're not monitoring, right? We don't want to hear these?
Prelay is not a term I'm
sorry,
familiar
the
with.
stuff that you have printed in here prior, we're only mixing the
Oh,
stuff
you
that we
mean my
recorded.
mock-up?
Yeah, we don't want any of your
No.
mock-up. Correct.
Okay.
It's awful.
Okay.
It's a sketch,
Glad you asked that question.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
If you guys think that mix,
Just play. I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
And to get rid of this stuff here, right?
on the with the pizzicato.
All
Or
the
in
way through.
general, in general.
Yeah, all the way through.
It wasn't standing out to me, so that's good.
Oh, good. You can still
but-
hear it though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's,
good, okay.
I want it to be
Yeah.
subtle. I think with the
Just a
pizzicato,
color.
though, can we play that? I don't know what bar it is. Was it 26, 27?
Yeah, you want to hear it? 26.
Okay. Then we
Yeah.
got cello.
That cello
Yeah.
comes in hot, but I do
It
want
won't-
it to stand out. But
Okay.
oof,
Play
it
that
kind of
again,
hits you
please.
in the face.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Same place.
Perfect. The harp's great too.
He likes it, Bobby. He really likes it.
Okay.
Do you want there something?
Let's see what we got.
Instruments to stand out?
Okay. Top, please.
Okay, I'm gonna roll it.
Yeah.
Changes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it changes. It really do.
On the, is there, oh, you know, on the, yeah, the equal power fade, yeah, that one. Yeah,
And I can give it a little bit
a little bit longer, yeah.
Yep.
And next you can start it a little bit sooner, so it doesn't sound as abrupt.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that would be good right there. Let me just hear that.
Here's the end.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Try that now. I like that better. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Let me see if I can.
If you want to bring in a little more, that's fine, yeah. But if you, that sounds more natural to me, yeah. There you go.
I heard one rub, violin rub, here-ish. Sorry guys, just listening. Do you like that?
Let me hear it.
For the tail, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to reprint the tail?
Yeah, let's do that.
So I'll take
You know what, I got yeah, if I can remember where I was.
Might be too late in
That's the
game.
thing about not having automation.
it's not.
The old bobomation doesn't work as well as it used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what did Mark say?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
say to
it's
you
yeah.
about the mic position.
I mean the string, strings.
You know, let's try
forward
picking up the end.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
A little more intimate
Yeah.
with the strings.
So that's also the reverb.
Sure.
Here it comes.
that sounds more natural to me. Much more natural.
Yeah.
I got two. Well,
Go ahead.
I got two questions. So a couple people are pointing out the first section.
Yeah.
Okay, I want that to feel a bit more intimate, and so how late? I mean, can we touch the reverb at this point in the game? Or are we gonna?
Oh no, we can pull it back. You want
pull
less
the
reverb?
reverb back
Of
in
course.
the beginning, maybe even on the whole piece, but
Okay,
especially
yeah.
in the beginning.
Let's do that.
And bringing the strings
back,
forward.
Oh, forward. Okay. All right.
So the piano.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, the
okay.
piano is.
I see your, yeah.
I want to feature.
Possible. You can play with the Deca tree and the closed mics, right? So you can bring the strings closer or
That's what
farther
I'm
away
doing.
in the sound.
That's what I'm doing.
So, sorry.
I feel like I'm being.
Yeah. So, can we bring the strings a little bit closer?
Of course. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Okay. I confess. All right. Let's try that again. Let me just hear it from the top.
Okay. I'm just gonna run it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
It's beautiful though.
All right.
That's what I heard in my head.
Yeah. Good.
Yay.
Finally got inside your head. Yeah. Great. No. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I can automate some stuff myself too, right?
Yeah.
Like when I get the mix,
Yeah.
bring some stuff.
You know,
forward.
think
I
about
mean, there's little things,
yeah,
but
yeah. Well, you know, reverb is such a subjective thing. I mean, I work with so many different people, and everybody likes a certain level of reverb. And I worked with one guy years ago that I could never get enough reverb. Everything was cranked, and the room, it sounded like we were in a swimming pool. It was it was just so wet, and it wasn't enough reverb. I said, I can't. There is no more reverb to give you. That's it. Everything's cranked wide open. Everything's at 11, and we can't. And it wasn't enough. So, needless. I never saw that guy again. He walked out angry, so, which is fine.
Quick
Yeah.
question for, I don't know, for
Yeah.
either
No,
one
go
of
ahead.
you, either
Yeah.
Corey or
Yeah.
you, Bobby, or both.
Yeah.
In the beginning, there's this bass in the piano. Is it just the piano giving us that bass,
No,
or
it's
is
a bass
there
with it.
bass in there with it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to skip.
well, what do you mean beginning?
In the very beginning.
The very beginning. There's.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's bass with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to the bass line, and I want to know, how would you make a bass like at bar 43? You can hear the go on the string.
Yeah.
You can really. How can you get rid of that touch and make it more resonance? What would you do if you wanted to do that?
If you wanted to get rid of find out where that rosin sits,
Okay.
and then you peak it up, and then invert it. Yeah.
Can we
But
hear
on this case, just a little bit, because you'll really hurt the sound of the bass. You'll make it like that. You want a little bit of that in there, because it adds the character. It adds a little point to the bass.
Right.
You don't want to take it completely out.
Not completely
Yeah.
out, but just not
Yeah.
enough to where it's like right here.
Yeah. You still want to have. You won't hurt the sound of the bass. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we hear that section? Can we hear that section? What is it? Bar 48.
Yeah, go ahead.
It starts at, I think 30, 48.
Is there a mix to
42
play?
is at,
42.
We can play the mix. Yep. I just have to get access.
Oh no, don't.
You could
Should
start
we
at
leave
bar
the mix
30.
always patched?
I think
Oh.
we just do this.
Oh, okay, great.
And
Bar 30, he
You
said.
can start at bar 30 if you want.
That sounds wrong. One channel. That's not right.
No, it's not right.
Never mind. Don't. Is that what we just did? That's wrong. That doesn't sound like what we just did.
It is.
What's changed in the matter of 30 seconds?
Nothing has changed.
Yeah, that.
I think
Better yet, before you re-record anything.
I mean, let me just press play and see what's going on.
Bass is heavy. Bass just sounds like it's coming back heavier than it went down. Bar 38 is what he was talking about. Don't stop it, just let it play. Yeah, I can lower that.
And it kept telling him more and more, yeah. Yeah. We're good?
Okay.
Okay.
We're good with this?
I think so.
Okay. The next composer comes up. What I really like is that if when I'm mixing this, you have your own idea of what you want, like in your head, what you want. If I'm mixing it and something isn't working for you, let me know immediately. We'll play it down and you go, well, I think we could do this, or like your suggestion, less reverb, or a little more intimate, things like that. All those things really help in both of us working and getting the mix that you want. Yeah. I can only take it to a certain point, but the final decision belongs to the composer. Yeah. So.
Thank you. It's an honor, really.
All right. Okay.
So, Bobby, I just need a second to prep this.
What's that?
I just need 1 second to prep this.
Oh no, take your time. Yeah. So, yeah, question.
Hi.
What's that?
Yeah, Corey asked me.
You need to test everything, and like Patrick was saying, it comes from experience and doing it and learning from other people. Like I tell people, I can show you what to do. So, but yeah, it is. It's setting up is the biggest part, and Patrick and I talked about this. Is that we have a very narrow window. We had 25 students yesterday, and that's a lot of recording. So we don't have time for any mistakes. The room has to be set up properly, and that goes on both sides of the glass. This has to be prepped here and prepped out there. Yeah.
And then my question is, once you have everything,
so that when you finally get to the mix stage, everything has been recorded properly. You don't have any issues. You can go right forward. Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think the listening setup is also really important.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to hear
Everything, exactly.
But my question is, now that you have a great recording and you take care of using the mics and everything, we get this file with the basic equipment or very cheap studio monitors.
You can get really good. There were times when, I don't know if you guys are familiar, probably before you, little Orchestral speakers, little 5-inch speakers. I had to mix a lot of shows like that because it was in mono. And when I used to use the big speakers, and then we'd come in and we'd put up one little Orchestral. And it took me, but I'd have to listen before they got in there into the room, because it took me a while to get my ears accustomed to that little box. But that, Quincy Jones used to call them the truth box, because if you can make something sound good on that, they're going to sound good everywhere. And it's true. It really is. So, yeah. It doesn't really matter. If it sounds good to you, you have to make sure that it's a good frequency response. But you have headphones and you have speakers, right?
Yeah.
Go back and forth between the two of them. Yeah. And see what it sounds like, It's always a good, just to have a couple of references.
Yeah.
Of course, in my place, I go crazy. I've got 5 different sets of speakers, and It becomes kind of a, you know, I have to decide what I'm going to listen
to see, like, how does it sound the mix if you mix it like with very cheap equipment and then with this? Like, what's the difference? Like, you know,
well, you're dealing with frequency response of the speakers. So some speakers might be kind of tinny or stuff. So you're going to tend to kind of EQ that stuff out. Then when you play it on a good set of speakers, you're going to find that.
Honored, thank you, really.
Let's see.
So everybody, we're ready. We're gonna dial it back down here for a second.
Yeah, let's. Okay, we're going to listen to yesterday's mix before we start.
Okay, so it's coming back on mod.
Okay, so those babies up and off we go.
Thank you.
I'm looking at it, but nothing matches. What is that? Great. Okay.
Horn is a little bit too loud.
A lot?
Yeah, the French horn's loud.
Do you need?
Pardon me?
What do you,
I need it to be less loud.
less loud?
Less loud.
A French horn.
French horn.
Oh, French horn.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a little bit too present in the mix.
French horn?
Yes.
Oh,
at
yeah,
a certain point. I didn't have the score, so. But also, it's really a piano piece.
Okay.
So the piano has to come out and be more present. I think the strings in the beginning, doing are a little bit too loud.
Okay.
So that's what I noticed.
That's what I need to know. Okay, great.
Patrick, do we
So-
have the strings and that towards the end are a little bit out of tune for the entrance of that ending?
Okay.
Can we listen to other takes?
Yeah, I'll stay on the mix.
I don't know what bar I'm looking at, but
Okay, maybe this last.
yeah, that's exactly. That last do, that.
So let me just bring something else up here.
Oh, better. Yeah. Thank you.
Do you just want that section replaced?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yes, I agree. I'm going to disagree with you.
Don't you dare.
Okay, let me get these files.
Did you find the score?
Okay, the other thing though is it sounds like the second mix. Just do that. And then Bobby, I'm gonna put this on this other thing.
Giuseppe, are you
Okay.
Okay.
When you're ready from the top.
Yep.
Just to listen.
Sure.
I'm not printing anything just yet.
Roll.
He's gonna address your notes now.
I've got stage noise at the top, Bobby. Do you want me to?
Yeah, get rid of that. Cut it right up to the piano.
Okay.
And I think
And actually, we probably won't hear that noise.
it scoops in too much. I like something. Where else we have noise? Get rid of that. Yeah, in front of the piano too. Yeah.
Less
The French horn I
composers use
actually
Pro
have the
Tools,
spot
but
mics
most
muted because that's
studios
just in the
Pro Tools
room.
is the standard for recording
If
and
it's a
mixing.
French horn is too loud in the room, then I'll have.
Recording and mixing. For composing, it's more like for scoring, it's more Cubase Logic. But you don't have to use Pro Tools.
And that
It's
could
just
have
they
one of
will
your
deliver
still
a Pro Tools
scoopy
session
fades
to
if
you.
you want. That's okay. Yeah.
But you'll be happy with the mix at the end of this.
I'm sure. Yes.
Nice, sir. Let's go back to bar 43. Stop right there. Okay, bar 40. Okay, so we're gonna bring that baby up. Okay, that's gonna go to.
So you like just less space because
That was bar 56.
Okay.
so right before the
Go
violins have the main
bar
theme,
40, please.
I would like more.
Start from
violin,
that point.
Just before
I think that's bar 50.
From the top again, please. You can record if you want. Yeah. Start again for me, please. Your thoughts?
My notes. I think it's. I'm not exactly sure where it is. Around 41, 2, 3, or something like that. That there's violin. It's not the main part of when the violin comes up in the next section, but I'd like that to actually have a little more presence also.
Bar 40, around there.
45, something like this. Can we listen back?
Okay.
45. Can we?
45. Right here.
No, it actually it's a little before that. It's.
That's it right there. That's right when the French horn solo starts. Good. Go back, same place, 39.
So that the horn and the violin have a little duet sort of.
Right. That's I thought bar 43.
Yes.
Yeah.
My good glasses.
Of course.
From beginning till bar 51. Before that, and then
That little violin place thing starts at 43.
No, but yeah, but in general, can we bring the strings a little bit closer?
Okay.
For the
almost
entire piece from beginning till 51.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Not necessarily louder.
Not necessarily louder, but closer.
Yeah.
I don't quite grasp that concept. I mean, they have to be, in order to get them closer, I have to make them a little bit louder. But I'll do it. Don't worry about it. Let's get it. Okay.
When you're done with that, I just have a ratio question, okay?
Beg your pardon?
When you're done with that, I have a question.
Yeah. What do you have? Well, let's get the question out of the way now.
Okay, what is your ratio between wet and dry and reverb? What would the ratio be to get that?
That depends. That's a
sound?
Q per Q basis. Yeah,
Q basis?
Yeah, I just Or closer. I'm sorry. Room down.
Bobby.
Reverb down. Yes.
Regarding that closer or farther away, like
A much more intimate sound would
so
be better.
Yeah, more intimate.
Glad you said it and not me.
Yeah. Okay.
What I'm gonna do.
Something's wrong there. Pitch is off. Let's listen to that again. That section there.
From 41.
Yeah. Right there.
Do you want me to audition something
Yeah.
else? So it's this part.
That doesn't sound right. I don't know if it's the horn. I noticed it when I brought the violin up into the horn. When the horn was playing by itself, it wasn't a problem. Yeah. Did you catch that?
Where
When I brought at 43, when I bring the French horn up and the violin together, when it was just the French horn by itself, it sounded fine. Add the violin to it, it doesn't sound right.
Can we play? One more time.
Yeah, yeah. So that wasn't noticeable until I brought it up. So we can go back to keeping it down and just featuring the French horn. Yeah, it is a French horn solo. Then we'll bring it up underneath that. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bobby, we can just pick up where we were.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Why don't I give you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on the right.
I'm
If you start, you know, if you start before 43, give me 40, and then we can go. More questions? More?
A little bit less bass from 59 on.
Okay.
A little bit more flute for that final section. Yeah, on 51, I think it is.
Yeah, it starts pick up to 51.
At where?
Pick up to 51.
Okay, the flute at 51. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I think they want a little less bass to the.
I got that.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to roll it from 50.
50's fine.
Here it comes.
When that flute comes in at 51,
I'm sorry?
the flute comes in at 51, I think the piano has to come back. It's too loud and
Yes,
it's
I
covering up
agree.
the solo.
It's an accompaniment part.
Well,
it's
it's still too loud. It's
yes.
more.
Yes, lowering the bass in the end is good. I like that.
Yeah.
Lowering the piano at 51 also is good. I like that. Is it possible at 50, where the violin and viola come in with a melody, to bring that up a little bit more?
Violin at 50?
Yes, and viola.
The viola?
Yeah, violin and viola.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's go to 48, please.
Here it is.
I think I'm going to add some of the reverb back in again, a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Because when I brought the viola and the violin together, they sound
Little
very
dry.
dry and
Yes.
strident. I need to have something around them. Yes.
I agree.
At 51? Or,
Yes,
or
yes.
the entire piece?
No, just 50. That one
Yeah.
section, just
Yeah.
a section
Yes,
there.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Other than that, we're good.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also at measure 59, I'm not hearing the harp very much.
I'm not hearing the harp very much.
Yeah.
You want more harp after 59?
Yes, please. At 59.
At 59.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let's. I need 2 more arms. Okay.
2 more arms.
We're good. No, I'm good. Thanks.
So here's 48. Here it comes.
ahí de que no está en sincro completamente.
Thinking, I'm thinking.
Can we listen 51 on again?
What's that?
Can we listen again? 51
Oh yeah.
on?
You know, when you're done, play it from
Yeah,
51.
I was trying to make this edit.
And I'm thinking maybe also even at the end to have it even less less
Mira
bass
eso,
here.
mira. Eso es lo que tiene tener una mixing board que tiene el polvo dentro.
Ostras.
Sí, lo limpian con cepillo
So
de
are we?
dientes.
We're not playing back this.
This is playing back on 47 and 48, and then we toggle.
Beautiful piece of music
47. Oh.
But I need to get access to this other section here and figure out why.
And that's gonna last forever, you know? You have the recording forever.
I know. I want to see if I have more harp swell coming up to this here for the horn solo.
Can't we just play back where we were up here somewhere?
Yes. Let me do that. I can just put it into here.
Yeah, let's just stay in one place all the time.
In the piano, okay.
Sounds beautiful.
It sounds
great.
incredible, amazing.
Can we hear the piano on the arp just in that last
At
51 on? Because I think
59 on.
they don't go together.
59 on.
No, 51.
Oh, 51, okay,
Sorry. So it's her fault.
Yeah, right.
This is a piece of cake with compared to some of the sessions I've been on. I'll tell you a story now.
Yes, please.
Present at the end.
I'm gonna bring up the piano a little bit from 59.
I thought we were good.
Huh?
No, I'm kidding. All right.
Today's your day.
Yeah, and this is streaming on YouTube.
Okay. From 59. 59. Okay.
Where do you want it? Is it 59?
59, yeah. Leave more
He wants to raise a little more piano at 59.
Great, no problem. So, where do you want it from, Bobby?
Yeah, okay.
You want it maybe 58 or 59?
57 for me.
Okay.
I'm slow.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here comes.
Yes, that's wonderful. Now that I can hear the harp and the piano together, I notice that they are not together on the first beat. Is there a way to fix that?
Can I ask which measure?
Starting from measure 59.
You just want to advance it. Who's ahead?
The piano.
Piano's ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll retard the piano.
Like
or advance the harp.
Something like that.
Should I check?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, do that because they're isolated.
All right.
So anyway, while he's doing that story, but I was working with this composer, and we were in a studio in Hollywood. We were mixing. They'd been mixing in this film all day, pretty much all week, and it's like midnight. We're still mixing. He says, one cue. And, okay, raise it. No, it's too much. Back it away, back it away. Back. And then his girlfriend shows up. Now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is what I, sunrise. So, sitting there, and then she pulls up a chair, and she's sitting at the console with us. She says, raise the piano, okay. And then I'm running automation, so you see the fader moving. So at one point, he said, touch the fader. I just, what do you think of that? That's way of it all.
Wow.
It was like, she got mad and went home, and I was like, thank God. Yeah. But you know, that's the first time I ever lost it with somebody, because it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and the last thing you want to do is ask somebody that walks in, hey, what do you think? Oh my God. It's like, but that was just one of those, that was like, when you start mixing at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you go, oh, this is ridiculous, you know. Especially playing that same piano thing for 3 hours.
Oh my God.
It was
Start
like,
to hallucinate, right?
I was like, you know.
Of that moment, right?
No. What reminded me of that?
It's my fault.
Was what brought to mind was the piano, just the piano, you know, because there's, you know, you have an idea what the piano. You tell me what you want, but don't turn around and ask everybody else what they want, because then it'll be like, hey, we'll have 20 different levels or ideas. You know.
Bobby, do you feel like sometimes when you mix, you just need to step out and clear the ear for like 10 or 15 minutes and come back?
Oh, I do that, but I don't. You know, we can't do that today. But yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes there are cases where I've been mixing and it gets to be after midnight or something, and we've been there all day. I just say, you know, guys, I'm done for the night. I'll see you at 10 tomorrow morning. That's it. I don't want, you know, because you reach a point where it's diminishing returns. You're mixing and you're mixing and you're mixing. Your ears get tired. You get tired. Just up tomorrow. You know, there's no reason for us to kill ourselves, you know. Well, the other side of the coin is I've been in the studio where we've been on a schedule and basically mixed till around the clock. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a composer by the name of Jack Nietzsche. Jack worked, you know, with the Rolling Stones and a whole bunch of it. Great composer. We were working on a film years ago called Hardcore, and it had, you know, some tuned glasses and all this other stuff. So we're mixing and we're mixing and we're mixing, and it's now a little before 6 o'clock in the morning, and Jack's been sitting behind me the whole time, and I'm sitting at the console like, mixing all the cues, and all of a sudden I hear Jack yell out, "Oh!" At that time Warner's had like a little soda fountain and store across on the line. But it's one of those stories that you run into some crazy people. Okay, where are we at now?
Okay, so now we're going to do, we've got that.
That's that one section with the
this is going to be 50.
harp and piano together.
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to them.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 58 for 59.
Sounds good.
Yes,
yeah.
That does it.
Yeah.
This D was hitting here a little early. We moved
Yeah.
it here.
And
So
you're
Thank you.
punching in
Like that.
to make a correction
like,
rather
yeah.
than listening
Like,
to it.
Yeah.
Doing it all again. And in either case where you're taking a second take or whether you're punching in just to make changes,
Yeah.
how are you doing that?
Sure.
Show 'em.
Yeah, if you guys can see the screen up here, so I have control over these fades, and the expectation in my chair is essentially to make sure that there isn't any pop or crack or anything, because it emulates the sound of, you know, an issue with a mic or something else. So you have to keep it clean in real time. So one of the things that I'm doing over here is essentially just like track maintenance. As we're doing this, I'm looking for and then making sure that the levels are have something in or replace. Is it going to work with what we did before? For those of you who ultimately decided, like, okay, we're going to do this freehand without click. Hey, everybody. You know, it's going to be a little bit harder to make replacements of that kind because you're going to have a lot more variation in terms of the tempo. Although I will say the conductors who were handling that had really great time, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. But this is why we do everything to a click for scoring. Because
absolutely. And recording with time code gives you a great, you know, you're locked into something, you can record that. Back in the day when I had to edit 2-inch 24-track tape, you didn't have the luxury of that. I mean, you had to rock the heads and find out where you could cut, and you'd cut, and then you'd splice the two tapes together. Now, this is, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, you have control all the way down to the value of the fade. So
right.
You can say, all right, I want this to push into that, or I want this to pull into the next thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, watching some of the kind of legends who are Pro Tools operators, like Larry Ma or Melissa Atwell, these are people who, I'm delivering this session to somebody overnight on a hard drive, and it needs to be clean when they open it up.
Yeah. Well, something I've noticed
thanks.
Sure.
Is that, you know, if somebody says to you, can we do this? Instantly, of course. And then you say to him, you know, yeah, right, no problem. Like there's like a positive synergy.
Oh yeah,
know,
yeah.
It only comes from the fact that you guys know your stuff so well.
If he wasn't here, then I would be running that, because I do that in my home studio.
It's a solution.
Oh yeah, you always have to have a solution for everything, like, you know.
Well, that just,
and again,
to your skills,
when you're working with like Nancy or whoever, you have to, you know, agree with, you know, go make them happy, you know. I might have a different opinion, or another mixer may have a different opinion of what the mix should be, but it's not my call. The call is hers. If she wants a certain thing, she says, you know, let's do this, let's do that. I want the piano backwards. So, fine, okay, if that's what you want, fine. But, you know, I mean, I wouldn't like that, but if you like that, that's fine. You know, and that's the whole point that I have. My perspective as a mixer, when you work with a composer, it's their call. Yeah. So.
And to your point about workflow, one of the reasons that there is synergy is because he's done every job that I've done. Like, he's done everything that I've done. And so when somebody says a comment and it's something that I know, oh, I feel that, he already knows that because he sat in this chair already. So this is one of the positions that's really hard to fall upward into because you'd be exposed really quickly for the things that you don't know. Yeah. He already knows all the jobs that are happening in this studio, even though, well, and he's worked in this studio more than I have just by being around longer than I have. And
you say calling me an old guy?
Wow. You have better hair than I do. But you know, it's like, it's an interesting thing because you will have engineers who come in who haven't sat in this chair or haven't worked on the floor or haven't. Well, I speak from my experience in this studio, but in general, it's true. There are some people who, you know, will be doing a gig at one of the major scoring stages, and they're extremely reliant on the staff. But Bobby could do this himself if he had to, you know? And that's kind of like what we all aspire to, is being able to say, I don't want to have to do it myself, but I could.
Yeah. And I have done it myself. And it's one of those things where it's just my training and my background. You know, I mean, I can go into a studio and I can do everything by myself. But when you have the luxury of having someone, you know, as talented as Patrick, it just makes the job so much easier. What it does, it allows you to focus more on this as having to kind of. I have a little console. I'm doing everything. It's all digital, but yeah, that gets kind of boring. You know, it's kind of nice working with people. Yeah. But yeah, my training is such that I like you said, I had to do every job, and it was just part of what I did. You know, did I do that? Yeah. Did I do that? Yeah. All those things. It's just, you know, what we do. And he's right about people coming in that don't know. Because when I was on staff at Warner Brothers, composers would bring in their engineers because they wanted, that was their buddy, they wanted, and they had no clue whatsoever. Every music stand in the room, you had 24 violins. That means you had 12 microphones in the violin section. You had 8 viola, and you had 4, and just like, it was like a forest of microphones, which is, you know, it's a great recipe for a disaster. You know, you've got so much going on, so much phase cancellation and all these horrible things. But that
floor of a microphone.
Oh yeah.
You could have the quietest microphone made, But if you put 12,
you use the Spectre technique, the wall of sound.
What's that?
Did you ever use the Phil Spector wall of sound technique?
I've used that before on a few recordings. Yeah, I've pretty much covered all those bases. I did like the Phil Spector sound, you know, just the guys playing in the room with a couple of mics up, so it's more room sound than everything. But you know, just reverb, but you still heard everybody. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you use that? Have you used it in cinema?
And do that on cinema.
Yeah.
Is you're appealing to at the end at the dub.
Yeah.
You've got effects and dialogue, and the more kind of like omnipresent your music is, the less likely they are to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing about that is that I always stress to people mixing film is that. One thing that I always do, I ask for, okay, if I'm going to mix, this is what I need. I want picture, I want the dialogue track, and I want any temp effects that you have, because I'm going to mix against those. And remember, when you're mixing film, dialogue is king, no matter what you think, no matter how great you think your mix is, dialogue is king. They'll throw your mix out in a minute just to hear the words. And I mean, I was a guy that was more on a couple occasions where we're sitting there and they delivered a stereo mix, and you can't deliver a stereo mix for film unless it's going to be anything else is underscore. So they delivered a stereo mix underscore, and there was a sound in the mix, in the stereo mix, that the director didn't like. He turned to me and he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "I'm mixed," and he said, "Get rid of the cue." So he just took it out. So that evening we had a playback. The director shows up, and it happened in more than one cue. It happened like 2 or 3 cues. And not the director, the composer shows up, and he's sitting back there next to the director. And we're playing along, and he says, wait, stop for a minute. I have a cue. I had a cue there. And he says, and I threw 2 more out. And it's like, so the composer then got on the phone and called the studio and then read the riot act to his guys. This is what we need to do. And those guys had never mixed for film before. They were in a record studio, and that's all they did was stereo mixes. They knew nothing about stems or splitting stuff off. But anyway. Okay, where do we go from here?
I think we're done.
No, I would like to ask one more thing.
He said we're done.
Well, don't listen to him.
Yeah. What's that?
At measure 27, I'm not sure. And one other at where the harp comes in at 41 and 42, the harp has these glissandos coming up to the biggest part of the piece, which is well, it's coming up. That's not the biggest part, but
let's attack one thing
You
at
said
a time.
Okay.
letter. Did you say letter G or E?
Letter G going into 41 glissandos.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. Yeah. I see. Yeah. Okay. Let's grab those.
Okay.
And then what else? The other one?
The other one is
violins at 27.
at 27. Just
Let's start
I just wanted
at
to hear
25
those
then.
violins there.
Okay, we're gonna listen to the.
Yeah.
So this is 26 for 27. So Bobby, we're gonna punch that.
Yeah, violins at
This is a lot easier than
27.
Yeah, for sure.
It's only one violin, but okay.
I know.
But violin and viola, probably.
Right, violin and viola.
Okay.
I think she just wants less of them there.
Less of them. All right.
So you want 25 or 26 for 27?
27.
Yeah, we're just finding the punch.
25.
Okay, 25 it is. Here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little
Too much harp.
Yeah, too much harp.
Yeah, we're beyond where I was set. Yeah. Okay.
All right, here it comes.
Yeah, that's that better.
Okay. What do we want from that? Do we want?
I thought it was 41, 42 now. For those 2 harp glisses.
Those, yeah, the harp went up like 90
Let's
beats.
start at 39.
Bobby, can we do that one more past the 27?
Yeah.
Just with less harp. I think they don't want.
Okay.
They don't want to hear those glisses as presently.
They don't want to hear them. Oh.
Not until 41.
Not quite as
41.
loud.
Okay, so that gliss is at 26 into 27.
Yes.
And then 30 into 31.
Yes.
Okay, got it. All
And
right.
please a little bit more horn there.
Yeah, you'll.
Starting at. I think now the piano's too loud.
41, 42 next. We're not doing that?
I will hear it in context. Like maybe we can hear the entire piece.
Too loud, too soft, too up and down? Are we getting into 3 o'clock in the morning?
I'm not bringing anyone else in.
Okay. So,
please I would still like at measure 27 when the horn comes in to have a little bit more horn and now a little bit less piano. The piano seems now to be sticking out too much.
wait a minute, I just. All right.
Okay, so
You go to
I
42?
should have had this held over a little bit more.
No.
But
There's no way to
there's
fix
no way.
that. No.
But maybe, did you think there was
Let's
enough harp
try
there for me
27
to-
again.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know
more
what
than
we're
enough.
doing at this point.
Right.
25. 25 would be good. So, where do we stand?
It's-
Maybe we can play back the entire thing. and see?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, thank you. Sounds wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
Bobby, I think our balance on this harp has just gotten a little bit hot compared
What's that?
to what we had. I think
Yeah.
the balance on the harp has gotten hot compared to what we had.
It's funny because I've been lowering the harp. I don't know how it got louder.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's listen, and then if I have to lower it, I'll lower it even more.
Okay. Okay, so from the top, we said?
Yeah.
Here comes, sorry, one sec.
You're starting from bar 0?
I'm going to do,
Bar 1.
I think we're
Okay.
just listening to this so far.
All right.
So I start from 1 here.
Now, this harp sounds loud here.
That was incredible.
Okay.
You got her, man.
Sorry to hurt your feelings. I was only joking about 3 o'clock. You're happy, Theo. Our job is done.
All right, let's eat some food.
All right, yeah.
Cue, because we had a piecemeal. Because they had 3 sections.
Good music.
Really intense.
I'd have to listen to it first.
Okay.
Well, ask Patrick if we'll put it up for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patrick?
And we've got these in slow motion. Isn't this cool?
I'm sorry we didn't have time to do everybody's.
I have to do it without making.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
annoying.
my original plan when I came in, because this console has problems as far as you can't really.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
What was
yeah.
the problem at the beginning? Wow.
I don't know. Oh, pre?
It's like it was, but the thing underneath didn't.
Yeah,
come
yeah,
out.
it didn't,
Alright.
it didn't
Got
really.
it.
So you're just served.
Hey,
Console?
We want someone laying on
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the second row
Yeah,
stands
yeah.
on the console.
Yeah, but that's what it was,
Yeah, that was
and
locked. All right.
and it was kind of you have to kind of go through each one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. You muted each one.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had to find out that it's clarinet that was on pre.
Yeah, and so it didn't look like it was in, the button was up, but
Yeah,
it was
I know,
still
I know,
locked
I
in pre.
understand what you mean.
Yeah.
So there was some rusty or dusty.
There's a lot of heat coming from this thing too.
You can
feel
keep
it.
your lunch warm.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when you're sweating,
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Organize them
Are we
in
doing
this
that?
way.
What's that?
Okay. Let's go. All right.
Small
Here
guys
we go.
to the front. Stay here.
I should be in the back. I'm not that sure.
If I got any closer, I'd be in.
If I
Bobby's
get
head.
closer, I'd be behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. If you do that,
Yeah. You know what?
Just a little more.
Hey, why don't we get the rest of the chairs and put them in and have people sit down? Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Try to get only one of my chins.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
What's that?
Instead of cheese, say momentum.
Momentum.
Are you painting?
Is this a video? I'm confused.
Yeah.
Cameraman,
Yeah.
and the board says we need more momentum. We need hands in the air. We need some. Three, two, one, momentum.
Momentum.
Okay, now how you really want, like.
Okay.
Let's write a song out of it.
Yeah.
All right, no,
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah.
What we need is to we'll let the room clear.
Yeah.
Just so that we can hear.
Wonderful watching you work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Because I wish we had time to do everybody's cue. It's like, yeah.
This has been a pleasure,
Yeah?
to
Thank you.
follow. I learned a lot of things. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Wish we had time to do more of that, you know.
I'm gonna call Ira tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tell him I just met you.
Yeah.
He'll say, did he tell the story?
Yeah.
I'll say yeah.
Hey, do you mind if I would ask you to write something for me to my cue?
Oh,
I
yeah.
had Orlando and Mark
Oh, yeah.
writing. I will watch it in Finland and remember this
Oh, yeah.
moment. You know, just something. Thank you so much. I know you have had a long dance.
Ah.
How long are you guys going to live stream for? And when should I get my cue?
No idea. I'm not in charge
Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
grateful. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
your pen.
Yeah,
Your pleasure.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank
May I ask the same favor?
Oh, sure.
In the honor.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with Bruce Wadeen?
No.
With Creation Audio, I did 3 albums up there, and he bought Cookhouse from Bruce. And Bruce came out and was working with Michael Jackson for a while out here, doing his stuff.
Oh, no.
Just curious if you guys crossed. It's different worlds, I know.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah, a little singer that
Yeah, oh, yeah.
years ago did. I think he did
Yeah.
well.
I only met him once, and I was working in New York at Sony on 54th Street.
Okay.
And he came in, and they had the whole studio kind of blocked off, and security guards and everything, and put up screens, and we couldn't get out of our mix room because they had the screens blocked off, and we kind of saw him through there, and yeah.
Well, Bruce, yeah, could we get one right here? Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And wore my high-tech recording shirt.
There you go.
See it there?
10, 10, 10. 9, 9, 9. 9, 9, she's still 5. 8, 8, 8. 7, 7, 7. Go to heaven. 6, 6. Yep, great. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. 4, 4, 4, 4, hello.
Yeah.
3, testing, testing.